Welcome everybody, it's Blushi here, and today I'm basically going to be taking a deep dive into the world of Squishmallows. Sorry, my hands made a little sound right there. But yeah, so basically I'm just going to be talking about kind of like a little bit of like the history of Squishmallows, but also kind of like what the fandom looks like, fandom slash community, and kind of how it's aged a little bit. And as far as like the toxicity within the community, outside of the community, and kind of like just plush collecting in general, and kind of where Squishmallows sort of compare a little bit to other competitors, and kind of what I think and my take on everything is. Also, if you're a fan of videos like this one, or just other kind of like Hawaii subculture related, like cutesy fandoms kind of stuff, then please subscribe. I'll also be posting more videos about my plushies and plushie collecting, since if you didn't already know, I also collect Squishmallows, hence the video a little bit. But also I'd really like to start posting more regularly. I did start my YouTube channel last fall and kind of like filmed a bunch of random crap, and then life got in the way. But yeah, I'd really like to be posting more videos regularly and focused on just things that I enjoy. But yeah, so if you like this, please feel free to subscribe, and if you like Squishmallows, please feel free to subscribe, I guess. But anyways, getting into the first part of the video, for the basics of Squishmallows, kind of like what Squishmallows are, can give you an example. This is kind of like the basic standard Squishmallow, of kind of what they look like. I think she's like a 14-inch, I think. But Squishmallows come in all different colors, sizes, shapes. There's food ones, there's animal ones. She's a Bigfoot one, so she has these little feet. And yeah, they come in, I think there's like 2.5 to 24 inch, or like 2.5 inches is the smallest, which is like the micro mallows and like Squishville, and then it goes all the way up until 24 inches. As far as for like standard Squishmallow sizing. But there's also other kinds of things that fall under Squishmallows, of like Hug Me, for example. There's also like, there's like Stack of Mallows and Squishvilles, like I mentioned. Yeah, so there's all kinds of other things that are also with the same little characters typically. And she is Zaylee, which is a different Bigfoot than the other one that I showed. But yes, and they also come with little tags. I'm gonna picture one up here in the corner, just basically giving their name, and a little kind of bio about them, or at least that's what the current tags look like. And I'll get more into like the tags and the old tags and that kind of stuff later on in the video. Now, moving on to, sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking with my hands, it looks funny. But moving on to the sort of origins of Squishmallows. So Squishmallows started back in 2017, and the person who's given credit for creating Squishmallows is John Kelly, the co-president of Kellytoy, the company that has owned Squishmallows since the beginning. And basically John Kelly went on a trip to Japan and got the ideas for Squishmallows based off of the cute toys and plushes he saw in Japan. He took kind of the inspiration that he had from Japan to his team, and several months they created Squishmallows. And the first ever Squishmallow that they created was Cam the cat, which I actually don't have any cam Squishmallows. I should probably have one, given I have probably a little over 150 of them. Now, it's not a lot compared to like some other collectors have like 400 or upwards of that of them, but still, it's just kind of funny I don't have a single cam one. They also released 8 other ones in the initial release in 2017. I think there were a couple owls, a couple penguins, Wendy I think was in there, and Fifi the fox was in there. Yeah. So now moving on to kind of like the rise of Squishmallows. So as Squishmallows kind of came to more retail stores, they were starting to get a little bit bigger. Come 2020, Jazzwares actually acquired the Kellytoy LLC, so they came to kind of help Kellytoy even expand even more. Also, as we all know, 2019, late 2019 of like 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic started, Squishmallows skyrocketed in popularity during the pandemic. This was also helped by TikTok, which was already gaining popularity, I think, before COVID, but was really pushed by COVID and the pandemic, which brought Squishmallows in turn even more popularity, and different influencers, like I know Charli D'Amelio had posted something about them. I think Lady Gaga made like an Instagram post about Squishmallows as well. But yeah, they went all over virality and TikTok and all that fun stuff, and kind of really just blew up the whole Squishmallow fandom. So after Squishmallows rose to popularity, they spread out to so many other retailers. I think also like Jazzwares acquiring Kellytoy also really helped with that. And they have just taken off so much that they have all kinds of merch now for Squishmallows. I have like a little bit of it, but not very much. But I've been thinking more of the idea that maybe I will get the other merch that they sell. It's just mainly geared towards kids, I think, for the most part, which is pretty obvious. I mean, I don't think they thought as many adults would love Squishmallows as what adults do. Anyways, yeah, they have so many. They have like stationery, there's backpacks, there's trading cards. They have so many different things that they've released, and that's just like to name a few. I know just like Five Below carries a ton of their stuff, and Costco does. But yeah, so they've become quite the fandom, or like a big ticket item, I guess you could say, which kind of makes it so Squishmallows can be really hard to find a lot of times, or at least like maybe not so much hard to find, but it's just very difficult to find very specific ones that are very popular. It has become so popular, in fact, that many resellers have also come into the mix, and it could just be really hard to get different Squishmallows. And Kellytoy themselves has also been expanding to even doing, they have like Squishmallow games, I think, on the App Store, and then they're also producing a movie. Yeah, and people have like kind of questioned some of Kellytoy's decisions on Squishmallows and the branding, as far as like the tags. The tags now are a little bit different than what they used to look like. They used to be, there was where they had the squad on them of like all the Squishmallows that would come out in a certain collection would be pictured on the tags, and that's not there anymore. And then they also had tags with like the original tags, which had like little marshmallows on them. And I think they also had the squad. Now it's just whatever Squishmallow you got, their name and what's on the inside, and like it has their squish date and all of that too, which is basically just like when they were made. And then they can also have the rarity system that was introduced of basically, like, and they also have like a first to market, so like you can see which like type of Squishmallow, if it's the first one that they're like releasing in a store. But yeah, it's not my favorite, mainly because it just shows people which ones are going to be rare and which ones are going to be harder to find because they only made so many. So automatically, like, if that's one you wanted, you're probably never going to get it. Some fans are really, or community members or Squishmallow collectors really are upset about the tags, but also some of the Squishmallows people think have been released in like lower quality, which I have noticed. Some of the ones I've gotten haven't always been the best with sewing, or have had like loose stitching. Like right from the store, I mainly only buy from retailers. I don't really buy from resellers all that often online. On a high quality plush, the stitching should be sublime. Also, the fabric should be nice quality, which people have seen that like sometimes like feels a little different sometimes on some of the Squishmallows they make, and you kind of wonder, did they go with cheaper fabric or what's going on here? I don't know, but it is what it is. Of course, like, things are going to change with any company because if they have to, with any product, they have to update things, whether that's to keep prices down or to keep production up, I don't know, which is not really an excuse, but it is like a reason for it, I guess. But yeah, so it's kind of like rub some fans the wrong way as far as like the quality as well. And speaking of Squishmallow fans, I myself am a fan, or like a Squishmallow community and the collectors within the community. It has become really, really large, obviously, from the popularity of Squishmallows. But there's like members of the community that are all ages, from really, really young to really, really old, which I think is really neat, and like all from like different backgrounds and things like that, given that Squishmallows are pretty widely available, even though they have gone up in price, which is also something, I think I forgot to mention that in the last section, but it's also another thing that's kind of like, is it really as available as it was to everybody? No, from a socioeconomic status, it can be difficult to acquire such large collections. But yeah, I myself have to be careful on how many I buy, but I'm really grateful that I've been able to earn quite a bit of money to afford my Squish collection. And yeah, and it's also worth noting that with how big Squishmallows are on social media, there are specific people that only like, or I'd say they collect other plushies as well, but they are like a Squishmallow influencer almost. They just post everything and anything about Squishmallows and what they're collecting and the hauls that they have. And I've also noticed quite a few other influencers have been collecting Bum Bums as well, which I mentioned that one specifically because there's also been like other people have been collecting Jellycats, which I do really like Jellycats as well, although I haven't been able to get that many right now. But anyways, a lot of them have been collecting Bum Bums for the influencers, and they are also owned by Jazzwares, which I think is interesting, because they're always right next to Squishmallows, or at least every time I go and look, they tend, in the stores that I tend to go to, they tend to be pretty close to where the Squishmallows are at, given that they're plushies, but also I think it's because Jazzwares also technically owns them. But yeah, so there's tons of different like YouTubers, people on Instagram, all that kind of good stuff. And on TikTok, of course, that post about their squish collections, which is really great, I think, as like a community to have big influencers, but also there's smaller squish collectors that are on social media, and they have formed groups like on Facebook where you can get different information, which is really fun, or meet other people that like Squishmallows just like you do, or they have Squishmallow meetups where you can trade Squishmallows, or you can buy their Squishmallows. A lot of them also have, or a lot of fans also have accounts like on Instagram especially, where they will post about new releases, which is really nice. I know there used to be Squish Alert, which was an app that unfortunately I think got closed down. At least I don't think anybody took it over. There used to be an app that would also notify you about updates of Squishmallows, and I think that was like a fan run app. Yeah. And then there's a couple like wording that people use, or like terminology that's used in the Squishmallow community, and that would be Squishmallow hunting, which obviously means hunting for Squishmallows or looking for Squishmallows in stores. That one's pretty obvious. I don't know if I need to explain that one, but I did. And then there's also, I've heard both of ESO and DISO or DISO, I think. I've heard pronounced, I think, both ways. But so ESO is in search of, and then desperately in search of for DISO. So basically just really like the most wanted squish of somebody, which mine is personally Hug Me. Actually, I really want the Bellina Hug Me so bad, and I keep looking in Marshalls and TJ Maxx for it, and maybe I'll try Burlington Coat Factory, but we'll see if I ever get her. But with every fandom or community, there are, especially when they get particularly large, there are always going to be, let's call them bad eggs or toxicity. So Squishmallows has attracted quite a few of these bad eggs, as far as with how difficult the Squishmallows can be to get, which Kellytoy also does not or refuses to get more, or like to release more, even if they're not like a select series or something. They'll only release like a certain amount at any given time, which is expected, but also certain people within the community also think that it's done more so on purpose, which is a good, well, for companies, it's a good business model to hike up the prices and popularity even more, but it's also like, I don't know, like with the demand and the amount of Squishmallows they release, I'm not sure of Kellytoy's situation, but they are a company or corporation or whatever under Jazzwares, so you would think since they're raking in all that money, they would at least release more. But anyways, the bad eggs will do anything to get the Squishmallow that they want. They are not nice to anyone. They literally will be rude to other collectors. They will be rude to retail employees. They are rude to mostly, like, or most of where their rudeness or cruelness goes to is resellers, which I do agree. Resellers are annoying. For anything that I've ever collected, there's always been resellers, and they typically will buy out if they know an item is popular, which is why I don't personally like the rarity tags. I don't know. Those might have been a thing for longer than I thought that they have been, which I know, like, they've been around for a little while. But still, they will buy up whatever they know is rare or, like, most wanted and buy all of them sometimes, or oftentimes enough of, like, when something is super popular. And then they'll resell it for, like, really exorbitant or really, like, high prices. Which is not great. I will say it's not great, and I don't love it, and I do think it is a problem. But that does not mean I am going to harass them in public, and it does not mean I am just going to assume anybody who buys more than one Squishmallow at any given time is a reseller, which these said bad eggs will do that, and they will be extremely rude, and they will film them, they will post them online, other like-minded bad eggs, they will dox them and just continuously, like, if they find out their name, like, these people get just harassed over and over and over again, and, like, even just on their, like, selling page, harassed, and it's not good. Even though I don't love what resellers are doing either, it is not okay to be an awful person to them. It is not okay to treat them that way. As much as you don't like what they're doing, resellers, you can't control what other people do. You can't control what they spend their money on. Not everything is about whether you get the Squishmallow you want or not. So, which sucks, and I've had it happen to me too, and it sucks, but I'm not gonna be about it. And like I said, these same bad eggs will also assume if you are buying more than one Squishmallow that you're a reseller, and they'll be rude to you, or even if you're not, they'll still be rude to you because they wanted that Squishmallow that you have in your hands, and they will take it from you. No matter what happens, they will run you over for that Squishmallow. But yeah, and employees at retail stores also really hate them, which I totally get. That they don't like them as far as they are just rude, and they will be upset, and whenever they're unhappy, they will also make you unhappy of why don't you have more? Why didn't you keep more in stock? Are they in the back? I bet there's more in the back, and you're lying to me, and blah blah bloobity blah blah. And the list goes on of just the treatment of retail employees, which I think is pretty common, or at least, like, in America, they're treated like dirt, which is just undeserved as well, of these people just being jerks. Along with these bad eggs, or, like, the toxicity within the Squishmallow community, and along with, like, certain things that Kellytoy has done that I've mentioned, as far as, like, not releasing as many of a really popular squish that's not even, like, a rare one, or so on and so forth. A lot of fans have been really disappointed just in other Squishmallow collectors and in Kellytoy. And so they have decided to leave the community. They have sold off all of their Squishmallows, and have just been, you know, they move on to other plush, or I don't know, it's just kind of, it's really sad, because I do think Squishmallows can be such a really great thing, of, like, just as many people that I've gotten to, like, watch as far as influencers, or people that I've met in real life that also like Squishmallows, and we've kind of built, like, acquaintanceships or friendships out of, has been really nice. And I think it's just really sad that Kellytoy in some instances just doesn't really listen to the fans so much. as well as things for toxic people in the fandom that are also fans, willing to do anything and everything for a Squishmallow, and just are willing to harass other people. I can definitely see how that drives people out of the fandom. And then other things for Kellytoy of like, people have accused them, especially with like the new fruit bats, which I did get them, of stealing designs from creators. People just don't like to see that. People don't like to be in fandoms where there's so much not great things, where there's toxicity, I guess. I'll just sum it up like. And then with the toxicity inside of the community and kind of people seeing that from the outside, the toxicity from the outside towards people that collect Squishmallows, I just feel a little bit sad sometimes, as far as like, if you tell people you collect Squishmallows, or if you're even like asking about them in a store, like, and I always try to be really polite about it. I try not to ask if I can, but they just, like, they're gonna make judgments about you, and that's just kind of a given of like, if you're a fan of anything, and just like in general of anything about you that anybody knows, they're gonna make a judgment about you. But it just sucks sometimes, as far as like people thinking that you are gonna be one of those awful fans that's gonna like dox somebody because you're filming the shelves of Squishmallows to show like where you found them, and somebody's in the video getting one. I never, like, I try not to do if I can help it, and I don't think I have, but it's always like I don't want somebody to be afraid that they're going to be doxxed or something, or people are going to come at them, because that's not what I want. But yeah, people have just, and on social media I've also seen people kind of like bashing people for liking Squishmallows, which, you know, for the people that are the bad eggs, I agree. Sometimes I think, though, it's best not to fight fire with fire, as well as the fact that I do know that those people usually get attacked by said bad eggs, and it's just like a little like fun thing, you know, of just fighting back and forth about Squishmallows, and just people saying that Squishmallows are not for adults, and you should grow up, and you should frickin', I don't know, or just like that they're cringy, or to collect other plush, which I do think collecting other plush is good, but I'm still gonna collect Squishmallows regardless, because I like them. But yeah, it's just like, it's definitely not as bad as what's inside the community, but it definitely is kind of like, yeah, it's another thing that's just like, it's a problem that was caused by the community, and now it's just kind of like, I don't love it, you know? And then, which brings into question for like those who are saying to collect other plushies of like Squishmallows competitors, and kind of like the alternatives people have presented, other than collecting Squishmallows, which is like Jellycats, Amuse. I don't know if anybody's been like really on those about collecting those instead, because they're definitely a big difference in what Amuse plushies look like. This is an example of what an Amuse looks like. But you get the idea of like collecting like just other plush in general from other like really established brands, rather than continuously collecting Squishmallows, given like, I think it's mostly also because of like the decisions on Kellytoy's part, as far as like lower quality, which Jellycats, I will say, has very, very nice quality, Very, very well made plush. They have little beans in their butt too, which is cute. But then also they've argued like different like availability and price ranges can be better. Although I will say one of the nicest things about Squishmallows is that they do seem to be almost everywhere. I mean, not the popular ones that you want, but they are carried in so many retailers, which is really nice. Anyhow, though, there's also been like knockoff Squishmallows and like the like Thai version of the Squishmallows. If you want to order one that like does not claim to be a Squishmallow and you like the way it looks and it's like Amazon or like you pay through PayPal, you go ahead. But oftentimes I don't love them, and especially I think, which the Thai ones don't, but like other ones of like saying that they are Squishmallows and they're not, especially from resellers trying to sell you something that is not a real Squishmallow. It is not going to be good. It just isn't, and you're going to get scammed out of your money, and you're going to be paying full price for a Squishmallow that is just not a Squishmallow, and it sucks, which is just another thing that people hate. There's a lot of positives though. I don't want to make this sound all negative about Squishmallows, but it's just interesting to see the progression of it since 2017 until now, you know. And finally, which I don't know if anybody's gonna make it to the end of this video, but finally, the bottom line of all of it is, at least for me and how I feel about everything, I'm still gonna collect Squishmallows. I do think, and like a ton of people are still gonna collect them. I probably, you know, will continue to just buy for retailers for the most part. Which is typically what I do with any other plush, unless it's like something that I know I'm never gonna find, like the little Prince Alpicassos, because those things were so cute and I really want one, and I probably will pay a ridiculous amount eventually for one of them. But yeah, I just think, you know, regardless of some of the like quality issues that I found myself, I still really like the way Squishmallows are and the way that they look and how often I can go and look for them, and just based off of running errands somewhere, I can go and look for Squishmallows. They're just very cute. They're wonderful little dudes. And as much as the fandom can be awful sometimes, I found so many great creators that make videos about Squishmallows and other plush, which I probably wouldn't have found if I wasn't looking through Squishmallow videos, or if I wasn't looking through like account pages and different things like that. So I'm very happy to be a Squishmallow collector. Thank you so much if you watched through the whole thing. And again, like I said, if you like or want to see more videos about this one, or if you want to see more videos of, I'll probably post like me getting more of these little guys soon, or different kind of like cutesy kawaii videos, or just like about different like fun little hobbies or things like that, or subcultures. Feel free to subscribe. But other than that, I hope you have a great day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.